Hello, I'm the Greek Geek because I'm 50% Greek and 100% geek. This one is widely considered one of the worst Godzilla movies of all time, with good reason. Terrible characters, annoying child actor, reused footage from old monster fights, lame new ones, and I talked about in my previous review how these movies are getting more and more child friendly, and the last one was turned up to 11, this one is turned up to 100. It is insufferably bad. A kid gets bullied and his parents prioritize work over looking after their child, which could be considered child abuse. The child dreams about Monster Island and the adventures of Godzilla and meets Minilla, who can talk, which is really fucking bizarre. And the child must learn how to deal with the bullies that are constantly antagonizing him with the help of his new friend Minilla, who can talk. The main character is an annoying child protagonist. Tomonori Yazaki plays Ichiro Miki. Very annoying character in my opinion. Just child actors, I think it's really hit or miss whether they're good or bad. This one's just annoying. Just can't handle it. I will say that Hideo Yamamoto, who has been in previous Godzilla movies before, who has primarily been a villain in those movies, plays like kind of a sort of fatherly figure to Ichiro, which is nice, and I actually enjoyed his character the most out of all of these movies, even though it probably could be considered creepy that this toymaker takes this interest in this child and is quite happy to have him in his home and have him for dinner by himself all the time. I'll leave that at that, but I do think it's quite nice the way he treats him, and I think he plays a good, fatherly, warm-hearted character. But I swear, some of the scenes that include these two characters, if you just changed up the music, it would be so much creepier. Yes, and what I brushed over before, Minilla can talk. I watched the sub, so I heard Minilla talk in Japanese, which, as bizarre as that sounds, is better than hearing him talk in English, which he just sounds so dumb, so goofy, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Come on over here! I won't hurt you. Your folks will get kind of worried. Okay.
The movie was inspired by Gabara vs. Virus, which shamelessly reused a lot of footage from its previous movies to cut costs. The same was done with this movie. There's no real original fights in this movie between the kaiju and a lot of footage where the monsters are actually doing anything. It's reused footage from previous movies, which is really lazy and I don't like it in this movie. So because Godzilla movies were progressively getting worse and worse, Tomoyuki Tanaka looked for a way to try and cut costs so they could continue making these movies. So this whole movie was rewritten around pre-existing footage of Godzilla movies. So shamelessly reuses stock footage for previous Godzilla movies. There's lame fight scenes between Minilla and Gabara. Gabara is just a lame kaiju, probably the lamest kaiju of them all, in my opinion. He's just essentially a bully put into monster form and just bullies around Minilla. And Godzilla actually fights Gabara, and it's not even like a real fight. It's not like a real challenge. It's just like someone's dad stepping in and beating the shit out of someone else's child. Ugh, and it just gets wacky the way that Gabara is flipped upside down and thrown around, and Gabara has lightning powers, which Godzilla is weak to because of King Kong. If that doesn't make sense to you, then watch my Godzilla vs. King Kong movie review. I explain it a bit there. Music and sound. Oh my god, the opening song for this movie is absolutely horrendous. It is burned into my brain and it feels like my brain's going to explode. It is the worst thing I have ever heard in my life. But on a different note, I do like the sound of Gabara's cry. It has like a feral kind of feline feel to it. Which is weird because he is an irradiated toad, supposedly, with lightning powers. Fuck, these movies don't make any sense. Is there any world building in this movie? Is anything built upon? I don't know. This entire movie takes place in Ichiro's imagination. His imagination, do these monsters actually exist in the real world and they're popular with children, that's why he's imagining them? Or is he a kid in our world who has seen Godzilla movies and is just thinking about those? So, out of all the Godzilla movies, this one may not actually even take place in the Godzilla world. It's really bizarre. And as I said before, Gabara is lame, not a really good addition to the kaiju roster. Gabara, like, the design is like, even the way that he stands and his look is very Godzilla-like. He looks like if you had a game and you unlock Godzilla and then you unlocked a new skin with the same moveset, the same animations and everything like that. Gabara is just a reskin of Godzilla with the addition of lightning powers. It's very lame and very lazy. Due to this movie reusing a lot of old footage, Godzilla's look is constantly changing throughout the movies. From movie to movie to movie, Godzilla's suit sometimes received minor changes and sometimes very big changes. So there's big differences between the suits between each of the movies. So this one reuses those shots. So Godzilla looks completely different in a lot of scenes in this movie. It's just so inconsistent. I would not recommend this Godzilla movie. It is easily one of the worst Godzilla movies ever made. If you've seen any of the previous Showa era Godzilla movies leading up to this, you've essentially seen this movie. There's no point in seeing this movie unless you want to see how bad it is. Unless you want to see how bad the story is, how bad the monster design is, how bad the child actor is, how annoying the music is, how lame Gabara is, and just see Minilla talk in a goofy voice.
Oh, hello.
Those are probably the only reasons you want to watch this movie, because it is just so ludicrous and unintentionally hilarious. And it only goes for a bit more of an hour, so is that too much a sacrifice of your life to watch this movie? Yes it is. So that was my review of Destroy All Monsters. If you enjoyed this review, hopefully I've impressed you enough that you might consider hitting the subscribe button. If not, hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you have a nice day. And as always, thank you for listening to me ramble on about a Godzilla movie for a few minutes. I do appreciate it. Thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.